Well, hello there. How you doing? Welcome back to Rule of Two Review. So, what would another day be without yet another Nintendo NX video? Today I wanted to do something pretty fun and kind of go over a list of the 10 games I would most like to see show up on the Nintendo NX. Of course, we know that Nintendo has not told us when they're going to show us the NX. We don't know if the system is actually going to confirmed launch in March or not. Definitely a lot of signs pointing to it potentially being delayed. And we don't know what games are going to be available on it. We know of a few games. We know of 5 confirmed games to eventually show up. We know of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is almost guaranteed to be a launch game for the system. Really hoping that it shows up in March, but at this point, we just don't know. So through this, I started to think about all of these different things that I want to hopefully be able to experience on a next generation brand new Nintendo console whenever we see it, whenever it launches, whatever the controller is going to be like. I've done a couple of Q&A videos, and of course I'm doing the podcast every week, and a lot of times the games that we want to see show up on the system comes up. I've been asked several times, what games do you want to play? What game do you want? What game do you want? And it's a lot of fun to talk about that stuff and theorize about it. So yesterday I kind of really sat down and thought about what are the 10 games I would most like to see. It's a fairly predictable list, I guess, in a lot of ways, but there's a couple of surprises. I didn't try to necessarily keep like third-party or multi-platform games off of the list, really. I had all of those thrown in when I was putting my list of 10 games together. Everything was on the table. So I thought it would just be fun to go over these 10 games, the games that I personally want to see. Again, this is just a personal list. It's nothing more than that. It's not official. I'm not telling you what to be excited for. These are just the 10 games that I really would like to see on the Nintendo NX. So the first game coming in at number 10, if you want to call it that way, is Mario Galaxy 3. Now, even on the podcast recently, we discussed how Galaxy 3 would be cool, but some people maybe feel like it's not a Galaxy 3 they want something else. Galaxy's already gone as far as it can go. And I guess that's kind of true, but I kind of don't care. For some reason, the prospect of Mario Galaxy specifically continuing on a brand new generation of hardware, especially when you consider that it completely skipped the Wii U, the 8th generation of hardware, is just really exciting. I think that there's actually a lot of places that idea can go. It's part of the brilliance of Mario Galaxy. It's part of what made it so great and surprising when it first came out. And I think that idea is not yet been tapped to its fullest. So really, a Mario Galaxy 3 on brand new hardware, think of the visuals. Go back and play Mario Galaxies 1 and 2 on the Wii and tell me that those games aren't some of the most gorgeous games to this day you've still ever played. Imagine if Nintendo had hardware that's around as powerful as like the PlayStation 4, give or take even a little, even if it's a little bit underpowered, it's still going to be amazing. It might be better looking than anything we've seen on the PS4, Xbox One up to this point. And I know it's a bold claim, but I really believe in what Nintendo could do with their hardware and what they can do with the Mario series. So for me, Mario Galaxy still has a lot of places to go. I would happily welcome a brand new Mario game. I would happily welcome like a Sunshine 2. That would be the nice surprise for me as well, because I really like Sunshine. But more than anything, I would just love a Galaxy 3. Okay, for my number 9 game might seem a little bit surprising, and that is going to be a brand new Star Fox. Now I know it's a little bit weird because you're like, oh, well, a Star Fox game just came out. And that's true. And I really, really enjoy Star Fox Zero. I think it was a lot of fun and great for what they were trying to do. However, it was marred by a very unfair control scheme that, although I got very good at it, as I've said many times, alienated a lot of gamers to getting into it. And it also was basically a remake of Star Fox 64. Miyamoto outright stated that. He's like, yeah, this is basically just a reimagining or re-envisioning of Star Fox 64. That's great, but considering we haven't had a true brand new sequel successor Star Fox game for a console in a very long time, I kind of wish that wasn't the route they went for this first game. It was like they were trying to play it safe by remaking one of the greatest games of all time, Star Fox 64, but then completely destroyed that idea by adding these really confusing, complicated controls that are awesome once you get used to them, but they're so hard to get used to, a lot of people were turned off. So when I think about a brand new Star Fox, that's a sequel that's built from the ground up on brand new next generation Nintendo hardware, using the cool controller, hopefully in a non-alienating way, and with amazing visuals that really justify a brand new Star Fox in 2017, 2018, whatever. That gets me really excited. Give us the online play and the cooperative and all the multiplayer stuff that we really wanted. Make this game beautiful. Make this game a little bit longer and more substantial. That's one of my other kind of problems with Star Fox Zero. It's a very quick, short experience. I want a serious next generation Star Fox, and I think that it's in the cards. I know Star Fox Zero is a weird kind of scenario. I don't think it's completely removed Star Fox from the table for the future, so if you're wanting the same thing, I wouldn't get too worried. I think that it's something that could happen. Probably not, but I don't think it's impossible. And regardless, as far as a wish list goes, man, I would love a brand new Star Fox. My number 8 game is going to be the next game from Monolith. Monolith, of course, is known most recently for the Xenoblade games. They also made the Baten Kaitos games on the GameCube, which are excellent, criminally underrated games. That first Baten Kaitos, which I still own, is so good. Very unique and weird, but really, really good. And we know that Monolith is working on something. Now, I would like to also include in this conversation like a third Xenoblade title, whether it's a sequel to Xenoblade 1 or Xenoblade X, or whether it's a third, a different spiritual successor that's a Xenoblade title that doesn't relate to those first two games, whatever. That would be great, and I do think eventually we may see that, but I'm pretty sure it's been told to me that Monolith has stated the next game they're working on is not in the Xenoblade universe, and if that's true, while it's sad, it's also okay, because brand new games and new IPs are always exciting. We should see more and more of those whenever we can. Monolith is an insanely talented developer. Again, look at what they achieved not only on the Wii U with Xenoblade Chronicles X, but look at what they achieved on the Wii with Xenoblade Chronicles. Mind-blowing what they can do with hardware. And give them a brand new Nintendo NX, new generation hardware, forget about it. It could be awesome. So whatever it is they're doing, new IP, Xenoblade game, whatever, even if they're working on a different established IP, that would be kind of cool as well. So maybe like a Star Fox. That's what I would really like to see. So with any luck, we're going to find out within the next year or two what Monolith is working on, because it's the 8th most excited game for me. Number 7 is an obvious one that I'm sure anyone could have seen coming on this list, and that is going to be Bayonetta 3. Now, you may wonder, why is it so low on the list? Well, honestly, I think there's a pretty good chance that Bayonetta 3 is going to happen. So because of that, I wanted to give the higher spaces to games that, either aren't likely to happen, or we just have no idea if they're ever going to happen. For the most part, So when it comes to Bayonetta 3, that's the game that we need. It would show that Nintendo worked really hard to secure this franchise. It would show that Nintendo and Platinum really have a solid relationship going forward, and they trust each other to make this game. It would build off of what Nintendo and Platinum did with Bayonetta 2, and how it kind of captured a lot of specific gamers for a Nintendo audience. I thought that was so cool. Bayonetta 2, not to mention, one of the greatest games I've ever played. I mean, that game deserved all those perfect 10s that it got. It's spectacular. It's my favorite Wii U game. I've said that. It's not even a Nintendo-made game is my favorite Wii U game. It's a third-party exclusive, Bayonetta 2. So if Bayonetta 3 truly happens the way a lot of us think it might, that would be huge for Nintendo. It would be great for the console. And we know it's going to be an amazing game. And like I said, I feel pretty good that it's going to happen. Coming in at number 6 is one of those wishful thinking games, you guys. And that's going to be a brand new F-Zero. Everyone has been asking for a new F-Zero for a very long time. Now, I know that F-Zero GX on the GameCube was the last console F-Zero. I know that there was also a Japanese exclusive Game Boy Advance released. Was it Game Boy Advance or maybe DS F-Zero game? And I can't remember if that came out before or after GX. So I don't know what the actual last brand new F-Zero game was. It's one of those two. Regardless, it's been a while. GX was 2003, so wrap your head around that. For the GameCube, a great game. F-Zero's had 3 main console entries, and they're all excellent. They've all gotten progressively better as they've come along. It's time, you guys. I know Miyamoto says yay or nay. He says needs a certain controller, doesn't need a controller, would it be online? It's time. Trust me, Miyamoto. Trust me, Nintendo. We all want it. If you make it awesome, if you make it fast, if you make it beautiful, if you put this thing online, we will eat it up. If you don't do with F-Zero what you kind of did with Star Fox, which I hate that I have to use a game I love as this example, but it is the example of how not to bring back a long dormant franchise because it didn't work for people. You got to bring F-Zero back in the way that we love it and remember it, and if you do it, it will be successful, and it could drive system sales, especially if it shows the amazing power of the NX and people feel like, oh, this is a next-gen high-tech console. Look at what this F-Zero game does. That's a game that you sell people on the idea and the power of your machine. And yes, power isn't the be-all, end-all, but it also does sell to a huge demographic of gamers nowadays. It just does. These people, these younger gamers, they just want the big graphics. That's just what they want. And if you can use F-Zero to sell them that, you're in good shape. So, man, I would freaking love an F-Zero. Coming in at number 5 is a game that's in a weird state right now, and that's Pikmin 4. Now, it's in a weird state because on one side, you could look at it as almost for sure going to happen based on quotes that have happened from Miyamoto and Nintendo over the past. On the other hand, you could look at it that maybe those quotes were about the Pikmin 3DS game that was recently revealed to come out next year, in which case maybe Nintendo isn't actually working on a console successor to Pikmin 3. That makes me really nervous. I am crazy excited for the Pikmin 3DS game. I've said that before. It seems like I'm one of the only ones, but I think it looks great, and I cannot wait for it. But I would definitely not want that game to be replacing the console sequel to Pikmin 3. That's what I want way more than any side-scrolling 3DS game, as good as that may look. So with any luck, Pikmin 4 really is being worked on by Miyamoto, by Nintendo, planned for the Nintendo NX, maybe a launch game, maybe not a launch game. And even if it's not a launch game, that's fine. As long as we see Pikmin 4 on the NX at some time soon, I would be very happy. I do think, ultimately, if I had to come down on one side or the other, you guys, I would think Pikmin 4 is very likely and probably being made and planned for the NX right now. You know, before the 3DS announcement, I would have thought it has a very good chance of being a launch game. Now that that's been announced, I kind of have a feeling that if there's a Pikmin 4 for the NX being made, it's not going to be a launch game. But maybe we see it like at E3 next year and it comes out as a 2018 game. And if that's the case, man, I'm fine. I'm not going to be picky. Just give me what I want. I can wait as long as I know it's coming. So with any luck, fingers crossed, we're going to get Pikmin 4. Coming in at number 5 is a very special selection, and that is going to be Retro's new game. Everyone talks about Retro when it comes to this stuff. What's Retro doing? What are they doing? Are they making a Metroid? Are they making a Donkey Kong? Are they making a new IP? Are they working on a different IP? Who knows? Reggie's always teasing us with what Retro is doing. Retro even made a couple of posts on Twitter recently, and they never do that. So, to me, I was like, what are you guys saying? Are you getting active again because you're getting ready to reveal a game? Who knows? Retro has proven themselves to be an amazing developer. The 3 Metroid Prime games and the 2 Donkey Kong Country Return games are spectacular, fantastic, not to mention Metroid Prime, my favorite game of all time. So obviously, I'm invested in Retro Studios. I want to know what they're doing. We know they're doing something. Reggie has confirmed it. They've basically confirmed it. I would happily welcome a brand new IP. Just like with Monolith, make something new, show us what you got. Show us what you can do. As Mr. T likes to say, Raven Blade might be coming back, an old new IP they were making like 100 years ago that never actually released. So sure, it'd be cool to see that come back in some form. And you know, if they are working on Metroid again, although it's not my ideal future for Metroid and it's not my ideal future for Retro, I ain't gonna complain if those two come together again to make a game. I don't care if it's not Metroid Prime 4. I don't even need Metroid Prime 4. I mean, just make a different kind of Metroid game. That would be fine. There's basically nothing Retro could touch that would make me disappointed, unless it's like, that's not true. They could be working on like Animal Crossing or something, and I'd be like, really? That's what you're doing? Like, no, give me something kick-ass. Give me something awesome. Give me something beautiful. Use the new controls. I definitely don't want a third Donkey Kong game, and it's not going to be that. But if it was, I would still be excited just because the first 2 are so good as well, but I really don't think it's that. I think it's either brand new IP or it would be Metroid. I think a Metroid has like a 25% chance of happening. The other 60% is going to be a brand new game, and then that missing, 10%? 15%, whatever, would be like, I don't know, a different IP that's already established. I didn't math very correctly, I don't think, but you guys get the point. I think it would have been 15%, 25, 60, 15. So the other 15% would be like maybe another already established IP. As long as it's not Animal Crossing, I'm in good shape. Coming in at number 3, oh man, Wonderful 101 2, or the Wonderful 102. Or the Wonderful 101.2. However you'd want to title that sequel. I want a brand new Wonderful 101 game. I want the Wonder Team in another video game in my life. I want them in my veins. Those freaking characters are so charming and endearing, amazingly well written, amazingly voice acted, and really unique gameplay in a fun world. Holy freaking crap, comic book come to life. Wonderful 101 is so good. It's my second favorite Wii U game. And the reason it's over Bayonetta 3, like I said, is because Bayonetta 3 has a better chance of happening. So I wanted to give a little bit more love and a bigger shout out to the Wonderful 101. So we need another sequel with these characters, you guys. It's this game that sold just barely okay, reviewed okay, but also everyone who played it, even the people who reviewed it who maybe gave it mediocre scores, raved about it. I don't think anyone's actually played this game for any length of time and not said, okay, this is a great, very fun game. Now, I have a special love for the game that's higher than most people. It, to me, is a masterpiece. Despite being an imperfect game mechanically, it's still awesome. It's the characters, the setting, the dialogue, the story, and the uniqueness of the controls with the touchscreen that I love. And this game begs for a sequel. I don't think it was very expensive, so I'm hoping it was just profitable enough for Nintendo to at least consider it. for Platinum to be considering it. And maybe these companies are like, hey, we can do this again. It's worth a shot. Let's just make a sequel for the NX. So it's definitely not impossible, but it ain't very likely either. So I wouldn't hold your breath. I'm not holding my breath, but that didn't stop me from putting it at number 3. I need a sequel to The Wonderful 101. Coming in at number 2 is a game that's been talked about a lot recently. I've talked about it, and that is Beyond Good and Evil 2. Now, the main thing for me to say about Beyond Good and Evil 2 is that, as I've said previously, I don't need this game to be exclusive to the NX, like the rumors have said that, oh, maybe it's being made exclusively. Nintendo picked up the rights just like they did with Bayonetta. That would be amazing. I would be so thrilled if that actually was what's happening, but I don't need it to be that as long as the game comes out, and I don't even need it to be released on the NX either. I mean, that game could release on anything and I'd be excited for it. But I think that if it's being made, it is either going to be exclusive to the NX or it would be multi-platform and also release on the NX. It's going to be one of those two scenarios if it's actually true. And although we all want to believe it, it still hasn't been confirmed. So let's not totally jump off the rails. I'm not truly going to believe in this game until I freaking see it. So Ubisoft, goddammit, show us this game. Please make it real. So regardless of the platform it releases on, it's probably going to be coming to the NX. And I want it that badly. I mean, there's nothing else I can say that hasn't already been said. The first game is one of my 10 favorite games of all time, which I know a lot of games feel like they fall in my list, but it's true. This game really is one of my 10 favorite games. And the sequel, man, we've been waiting for it for frickin', 13 years. 2003, the same year as F-Zero GX. So we've been waiting for this game for a long time. The story teased us that the story needs to continue. And I want to know what's going on with Jade and Paige, man, on Hillis. I want to see what's going on. Is there space travel? Is there more photography? What the hell? Is there a baby Paige in that picture, or is that like Paige's offspring? Like, what the hell's going on? Show us this game, Ubisoft. We know you're freaking making it. We want to see it. Make it an NX game. And this is the game that I absolutely need. It's my number 2 Nintendo NX game. And for number 1, you ain't surprised. You know what it's going to be. It's Metroid, man. It's Metroid, baby. That's what I need in my life is Metroid. Metroid's going to happen. I've said it enough times. You guys are probably sick of hearing me say it. I absolutely believe Nintendo is working on a Metroid, despite all of their efforts and quotes to kind of steer us in the opposite direction and the fact that they released Metroid Prime Federation Force in the first place. I know a lot of people want to say they don't believe in Metroid till they see it, and I appreciate that. I know Nintendo is doing something. We may still not see it for a little bit, but I guarantee you right now, if you could go into the darkest corners, the deepest depths of the Nintendo headquarters where they make their games and find like the most secretive room they have, you're going to see someone tooling around on a Metroid game. It's freaking happening. And I've said many times, I don't think it's Metroid Prime 4. Everyone talks about Prime 4, Prime 4. Prime is only one series in the whole pantheon of Metroid. It's a buttoned-up story that had a beginning, middle, and end. It's great for what it was. I would be thrilled with a Part 4, but we don't need that. And Nintendo's not making that. So, I mean, you could do a different first-person game that's not a Prime game. That would be a little bit weird, but that would be acceptable. Really, just like with a lot of other games, I don't even care how you make this game. I mean, I'm one of the people that really likes Other M. You know, I know that's a polarizing thing to say. It's definitely not my favorite Metroid game, and it is not perfect. But it's pretty damn good. I enjoy it. I got out of it what I needed. Great Metroid action, great Samus action, a very unique story, a lot of insight into the character. I don't know if they're going to build on that story or not. I do think that there's a gameplay mechanic that has a very solid foundation for a better game that could maybe be made on next generation NX hardware. Who knows? I would also honestly just love a third-person game. The 2D side-scrolling thing I would love on like a handheld. But I wouldn't even shy away from that on console. You know, if you make it just, like Rayman Legends style graphics or something like that, that would be so freaking cool, you guys, a side-scrolling Metroid game. They could do anything with it. And they are doing something, you guys. So I'll end it here so you guys can take away, hopefully, this very positive attitude. We all want Metroid. Everyone talks about it. Just like F-Zero, it's a game that you could make beautiful visuals and sell to that specific, more mature audience that has kind of shied away from Nintendo for a while. You can make Metroid that game that brings them back in and sells them on the power of the machine and the maturity of some of the library coming their way. It's that perfect series. Nintendo is doing something with it. They have not forgotten Metroid. They have not forgotten Samus. I know you could talk about, like, it doesn't really sell the way Zelda and Mario does. And it's like, yeah, that's true, but it's sold very well. We recently looked it up on the podcast as well. Someone looked it up. I think 18 million units or something total for all the Metroid games. Something like that. That's a lot, you guys. A great Metroid game on the NX is going to sell over 1 million units. It's going to. And if it's good, it's going to sell even more. I mean, it's a series that absolutely has earned its place in Nintendo's library and earned itself to not be forgotten by Nintendo, like some people are worried it has been. And that's why I really don't have any fear in my heart, you guys, that Metroid isn't going to be happening anytime soon. I think within the next year we'll hear about it. Is it going to be at the reveal? Doubtful. Is it going to be at E3 next year? Maybe. Is it going to be at E3 the following year? Almost definitely. Between now and then, we're going to freaking hear from Metroid, and it's going to be awesome, you guys. It's going to be a great thing to see Metroid coming back to Nintendo. So that's it, guys. Just a fun list that I wanted to put together for you guys. The 10 games that I most want to see revealed for the NX, either at the reveal, at E3, or sometime within the next year or so. These are the games I want to see come out for the Nintendo NX. A lot of variety here, a lot of other options that could have made it. You know, I was looking at like Resident Evil 7 and Final Fantasy, Destiny 2, things like that. You know, there was a lot of multi-platform games I was thinking of as well. But when it comes down to it, it's mostly exclusive stuff. It's mostly Nintendo stuff, and that's just what's most exciting. And I think that we got some pretty good games here to hopefully look forward to. Maybe when we finally have this reveal in a couple of weeks or whenever, we see some of these games show up. So tell me what you guys thought about my list, the 10 games that I most want to see on the Nintendo NX. Share some of the games that you want to see, maybe your top 10 or any other games that jump out to you that you're like, I have to see this game revealed on the NX soon. I have to have this come out on the NX to make me excited about it. Talk about the games that you care about below. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. Maybe soon we'll see you at the Nintendo NX. This is Rob of Rule of 2 Review, and I'll catch you guys next time on another video.